Hey everyone, welcome. This is our very first live event. Thank you so much for following along with us. My name is Essie Lucier. Most people call me Luce. I'm a director and a writer based here in Brooklyn, New York, and I wrote the lyrics and the book for Xena Warrior Musical with my co-creator, Megan. Megan, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Megan Rose. I'm a musician and composer, also based in Brooklyn, New York. And we're so happy that you're here with us. Thank you so much. To tell you a little bit about Xena Warrior Musical, for any of you who are brand new to this, it's a complete labor of love. Luce and I wrote this about a year and a half ago. We have done theater in New York for a long time, and Luce really wanted to make a musical about Xena since she was very young, actually, and we figured what better time to do it? Let's do this. And we did, and a year and a half later, we had 20 songs recorded into a concept album, which you can listen to yourself, starring many of the characters that you know and love. Xena and Gabrielle, of course, Joxer, Effany. I'm forgetting a couple, right?
Aries, a lot of Amazons, some Romans, uh, oh, and someone else, Aphrodite, I think, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yes. How could we forget?
How can we forget? So, speaking of which, we are really excited to bring on our beloved guest. We are talking about queer storytelling tonight. Meg, why are we talking about queer storytelling if this is about Xena Warrior Musical again?
I don't know. Why would we be talking about gay anything? Like there was nothing gay in Xena Warrior Princess, the television show. So I mean, I can't put it together personally.
Well,
I'm yeah. Please enlighten us.
well, I am. Why don't actually I bring on our guest and we can work it out together maybe over the course of this evening. So here is our beloved guest talking about queer storytelling, why we need it. Please welcome Alexandra Tydings. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. It's very nice to be here.
Thank you for joining us so much. I feel like you're in velour, maybe. I'm in velour personally. So
It is velour. Oh my God.
It's so on point.
I was gonna make a blonde joke about you guys, and then you set up another blonde joke. I just got this the other day at that thrift store I was telling you about, and I thought it was corduroy, but it's like very grainy. It's like corduroy. But it's very grainy velour, but it's not really corduroy because it's not that stripy. Yeah.
well, I apparently can spot velour anywhere, so I noticed right away. So thank you so much for joining us. I guess tonight we're going to talk about, queer storytelling, but I also thought it'd be so fun to just talk about the romantic comedy, maybe to start with, and the history that, we all have with queer storylines and seeing them in media. And I don't know, what are your thoughts about the stories we have already?
Oh, it's so interesting. It's so juicy, isn't it? We're a tough crowd, man. We're really tough. We're like, especially women and like femme identified people, like lesbian invisibility. What the fuck, man? And then like finally we get some visibility and we're like, but not that, so it's hard. We're a tough crowd, but it's exciting to see lots of stuff. It's exciting that we don't always have to die. Those are steps in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
A romantic comedy that's predicated on someone sort of shoving their partner back into the closet isn't my first number one favorite way to go with the genre, but it's hard. Writing's hard, making stuff is hard. Sometimes you don't get to say what comes out of you as you're writing. We're sick of coming out stories, and I just wrote a fucking coming out story.
Yeah.
What do you do? Like, it's what came out. I'm sorry, I didn't know what I was going to give birth to when I got pregnant, but here it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do we think that romantic comedies even have the capacity to hold a queer story in them because of that plot being based on, lies and inconsistencies and kind of like often toxic situations.
Well, yes, because the lie doesn't have to be about your identity. The lie could be like, how many Lucy and Ricky lies were hilarious? They weren't about like, Ricky, you don't exist, like you're not my husband anymore. They're like, oops, I forgot to tell you I hired a cleaning lady, like it's still lies, it's still duplicity. And that's, I guess, part of the genre. Maybe we can unpack that some more. I mean, there's other ways of being funny, right? But insofar as that's what we're talking about, you can be duplicit. You could be a couple together being duplicitous because your mom's coming to town and you don't want her to know that you cut your hair. It doesn't have to be like you don't want her to know that you're in love with someone. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of other ways. Like let's explode the possibilities.
Right. I do like. I like the idea of flipping it and just doing an experiment about what a straight shoving someone into the closet would be like. Like, please don't tell my gay mom that we're heterosexual.
Oh, that'd be an acceptable deviation of the storyline, maybe.
Yeah.
What a blunder.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's definitely do that.
Yeah, it's true though. We love blunders because it's conflict, and in a way it's sort of like, well, what are actual queer conflicts? They definitely do involve coming out.
Well, sure.
Enough.
Yeah. Here's a cat. Here's the
cat. All of our viewers, whatever you have in front of you. That's so great. So what kind of stories did you have growing up, or in the past? Did you have a lot of representation that you felt like you could find in TV and film? And I mean, what were your thoughts? I know we talked about Liquid Sky, I think is the name of that film. Tell us about Liquid Sky.
Yes. Liquid Sky is pretty funny. I mean, it's just so horrible. It's wonderful because that actress whose name I still haven't looked up and still can't remember played a male character and a female character, and that was pretty spectacular. And as a teenager, like there really wasn't much. I mean, I remember we would go home and like watch Oprah after school and be like, when are the gay people gonna come on? Like, surely they've interviewed every screwed up person. They've got to find a gay person somewhere, and I'm sure they did, but I never saw them. But Desert Hearts was one I remember. Yeah, Entre nous en français, that was fun.
Of course, the French.
Yeah, oui, bien sûr, right? Yeah. Not much, man, really not much, and mostly boys, so I watched Another Country like 7,000 times, and Rupert Everett was my best friend in my imagination. Yeah, but yeah, no, those are that's what I remember.
Yeah, not too much.
Not much at all. Yeah, no.
Yeah, and I wonder, I don't know, we talked a little bit last time we chatted about, have you watched Happiest Season? I hate myself for bringing this up. I'm so sorry.
No, I still haven't. I still haven't. But I did watch The Wilds, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's the last time we talked. I ripped through that thing in a few days. Yeah.
Do you feel like that's doing a good job as a show?
Well, last time we talked about and friends who are watching, if you don't remember this, that's because you weren't there, but I'm glad you're here now. But the last time the three of us talked, we talked about I just want queer content to be like boring and normalized and boring, I think is what we said. And so I think The Wilds did that in an interesting way. I think Call My Agent is another one I've been watching, where just like one of the characters happens to be gay, and it's not, I mean, her partner is a part of the story and them getting together is part of the story, but it's not like she's a lesbian is the story at all, which is, I think, where we are now. I mean, certainly not everyone, certainly not even everyone in this country, and certainly not everyone in the world, but I feel like that's where I am, and that's where a lot of us are, and culturally it's nice to see that. Yeah.
And I mean, because I feel like there's some things missing even with the coming out story. I mean, we just talked about how, there's some things that we definitely don't want to see anymore. Please stop killing us. That's definitely an improvement. But I wonder, what elements, that's a really important question, I think. What elements do we want to see in our coming out stories or in our queer storytelling? and what's important do we think for the future of that storytelling. So it's a really great question. I'm going to say some shout outs and hi to everyone that is here. We have people from Vancouver, Alabama. Our friend Karam says, don't forget The Hunger, which was such a great.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I have the whole fucking Hunger memorized. Yeah. I have it memorized. And I went and saw it. Did you guys see it like a year and a half ago? It was playing downtown in Manhattan at that artsy theater on the Lower East Side.
No, like IFC or whatever. Oh
no, like further down and further left. I can't remember what it's called. Like down, like past Houston, over Elizabeth Street way, like over Little Italy in there. Oh. I can't remember. But yeah, and I was shocked. I knew every line. I still knew every line. And I was in love with and wanted to be everybody in that movie, even Willem Dafoe. And it's so, to be clear, David Bowie can never do wrong. He's not even a human being. He's a creature. He cannot do wrong. And Catherine Deneuve is pretty close, but like, it's so bad, you guys. It's so 80s. It's amazing. The gauze. Oh my God. It's amazing.
The scene between them is pretty 80s. It's kind of glorious. I don't know.
It's incredible. When I say bad, I mean delicious.
So good.
Horribly, yes.
I think what I'm hearing is that we want more gauze in our queer stories.
That's what we need.
Right?
There are a couple elements I feel like you can't go wrong. Blood, gauze, I don't know, some other things.
Blood, Bowie. Yeah.
Bowie for sure. Yeah. Yeah, maybe not so many serial killers, maybe not so much. I think we can put that one to rest. Let's no more bisexual women who are crazy. Mm-hmm. Any bisexual men at all would be amazing, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot more. It's, trying to imagine where you're blind is difficult for us. It's a game I love to play, what are we going to look back on and cringe about what we're doing right this second? I'm always curious, but yeah, there's a lot. There's lots. You know what I really want to see? I don't know how to pronounce it, but what's the name of the island that Wonder Woman comes from?
Themyscira.
Themyscira. I want to see anything that takes place on Themyscira. That's.
Yeah. Did you see the new Wonder Woman? I kind of was like, please, let's never leave this island. Let's not change settings at all.
Yeah. The Wonder Woman, not 84, but the one from a couple of years ago. Yeah. Just that first half hour. Can we just stay there? Can we see how Robin Wright Penn gets together with her lover? Can we see that whole story? Can we see any of those women do anything? That's a story that I would watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always feel that way about, I know that we're Team Xena over here, so sorry, but I always feel that way about warrior women, because especially for me, as a female athlete, I really feel like it's still something that female identified people struggle to take up space, to be in an active, aggressive, strong body, to be competitive in a physical realm is still something that we're working on, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Those stories, any kind of warrior women. We were talking about pirates last time, which I love.
Yes.
Also, I love that you share my adoration for Grace O'Malley, which will never ever die. But yeah, so anything like that. What other things would you be interested in seeing? I know, Meg, you had some good things about what you would like to see in queer stories.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think last time I said something about I'd love to see bisexual anything portrayed, just anything that encompasses more of the fluid nature of sexuality and gender at the same time, or different characters, or explores anything like that. And also, no, of course we have the L word, thank you so much, but also I love things that explore friendships between queer people without sexual tension. I think that's also really important, and I don't think there's enough of that. So.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Good point. Which I'm gonna use this to segue actually. Rumor has it, Louise.
Yes.
Not so. Speaking of friendships that there is sexual tension.
Yeah.
Xena.
Broadcasting live to a lot of people before you say, oh, you're talking about Xena. Okay.
I'm talking about Xena. Yes, and our show actually. So
yeah.
So yeah, that there's a love story ending in our show.
Is that the rumor?
That's the rumor. I love playing dumb, like I don't know that.
I know. I know. Yes, it is. So definitely that is one of the reasons why we're having this conversation right now, is because we definitely wanted to bring some restorative justice to the relationship between Xena and Gabrielle and bring that into the new generation that is now interested in Xena. So the rumors are true, everyone. We do have a love song that is in the album. Spoiler alert. I think we might actually maybe show it at the end of this broadcast, so you can see what we're talking about. But that was really important for us, I think, right? That was one of the main reasons why we decided to write this musical in the first place, because, I don't know, we really wanted that kind of like musical expression. And my favorite thing about it, actually, the other rumor about it is that there's one word that is never said in the entire song also.
And it's not a swear word.
It's not a swear word. It's Alex should know, it's the word love. It's never said in the duet. So because we felt like, that was so specific and not all encompassing enough, where the relationship between them is so big that we felt like putting the word love in almost didn't do the relationship justice. So we tried to do a little, thing for our little challenge for ourselves and make that happen. So, yeah.
So yeah, there's our plug for our show, and
thanks for indulging us.
Thanks for indulging us. We love our show so much, so we want to talk about it. Back to the topics that we are discussing, though. I've got a question for you. I want to hear more about the pirates, and I know that you guys both know about the pirates. Please talk about the pirates.
Yeah, we're in a secret society where we know all about the lady pirates. Alex, go for it.
Right. Well, so we were talking about Anne Bonny and Mary Read.
Yeah.
Read. And I was, you guys need to fact check me because,
yeah,
it's been a while since I've read whatever it was that I read about this. But my understanding is that they were female pirates and they worked together. And I think the book that I read was maybe a little bit romantic about what life was like as a pirate. I'm sure it wasn't like all blissful anarchy, but
probably tough.
Probably a little rough, but for what I remember is Mary Read was orphaned when she was little, or rather her father died. And so her mother decided that the best thing for her would be to chop her hair off and raise her as a boy, because here comes the cat again.
Here
comes the cat.
Beautiful.
Best way to get rid of her is to just give her affection and then she'll split fast.
But like most of us.
Yeah, exactly. So Mary Read was, lived as I don't know how you would have called that when, several hundred years ago, but she was, she changed genders when she was a little boy, when she was a little girl. And somehow on their own, became a pirate and met up with pirates, and then somewhere along the way met Anne Bonny. Luce, do you know the specifics of how that happened?
I think she was working on Anne Bonny on Anne Bonny's ship, and Anne Bonny was in a relationship with the captain of that ship, and they were together, and then this kind of like attraction happened with Mary. And there was a love triangle going on, I think. I mean, that's a dramatic, maybe I just made up that dramatic telling in my head. But yeah, I always thought that was what the deal was. It was a triangle.
Sure, why not?
And then they ended up, together and being quite successful, I think, is the happy ending of the story, right?
Excellent. And then my favorites, what?
That's what we want to see.
That's what
It
we have.
doesn't matter if that's the way it happened. We want to see it that way.
My imagination, that's how we saw it. And then I love this scene of you know, sort of like the merchant ship coming up over the horizon and seeing this terrifying, you know, Jolly Roger pirate ship off in the distance, and seeing this woman. Also, we're told that they fought bare-chested. Don't know if that's, I mean, obviously we don't know if any of this stuff is true, but we're gonna go with it for now. And with a hook, and like stabbing this figure, and it's all silhouetted against the sky, and blood all over the deck. And so the merchant ship just surrenders. They don't even fight. And then as they get closer and they get, you know, whatever you do when you take over a merchant ship, you steal your stuff. They realized that they didn't really need to surrender, or who knows, but that the whole thing had been staged, and that she was just holding a hook, like every actor who ever plays Captain Hook, and that it was turtle blood all over the thing, and that the figure that was getting stabbed to death was a mannequin.
Art direction, really.
Yeah, art direction, exactly. Yes, exactly.
So in the chat, we're getting some Calico Jack Rackham was the name of the pirate that Anne was with, I think. And also,
hey, nice.
The History is Gay podcast has a great episode on female pirates. So thank you for the recommendation. Everyone should go and listen to that episode. And also thank you to Linda for loving my hair. I really appreciate it.
I love your hair too. I want to see what's going on a little bit more, because it's a little bit hard to see all the detail.
Oh yeah.
Can you take us on a tour of your hair?
I'm not really sure if I even know, really. I feel like
it's cat ears underneath is what's going on. So.
Oh yeah, I'm hiding my cat.
Oh. Okay, got it.
That's a Meg joke.
I'm sorry, that's a bad Meg joke. It's a magical poof.
Yeah, that's all it is, really. But thank you anyway. So and thanks for keeping us on track with the pirate story. But I think that we told it pretty well, actually. So, you know, good job there.
I think that's what I know about them.
Yeah, it was a good pitch. I wanted to know more and see more. That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess.
Did you say History is Gay has a podcast about it?
Yes, has an episode about it, which I think.
Awesome. Of course. Yes. So let's plug his History of Gay podcast, because they're awesome.
Yes, definitely. Did you guested there, didn't you? Or yeah.
Yes, and they have wonderful guests also. Amazing, fabulous people. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. That's fantastic. Yeah, I love their work too. Great. So let's see, like, what other questions do we have about this topic? I think we've decided that we do still need coming out stories, that we want them. What kind of character traits or relationship traits are the thing that you want to see in your stories? Or maybe Alex, like what have you been writing, if you can tell us like a little bit about it? And
I wrote the thing that I mentioned, I wrote a screenplay. It's like baked. The first draft is baked and now it's cooling, and I'm sort of just waiting to like get some distance from it and figure out what needs to happen with the rewrite. But it's a coming out story. It takes place in DC in the 80s. It's not autobiographical at all. Just kidding.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit autobiographical. There was a nightclub called Tracks when I was a kid, and I'm a little bit younger than Christine Blasey Ford, but I kind of ran in some of the same circles, and I was very, very lucky that when I was 14, I discovered punk music and stopped going to those parties. But I could have easily been at that party, you know. I mean, I couldn't have, because I would have been like too little, but you know, those parties were still happening. And there were certain boys' schools that we just knew to stay away from, you know, and sadly, Georgetown Prep is one of them. But so when I was 15 or 16, a friend of mine gave me a fake ID, and took me to this nightclub called Tracks for the first time. And so it's a coming out story. It's also a little bit of a love story to Tracks, because I looked forward to Thursday night in the summertime and Saturday night in the school year for years. I mean, it was like, can I just make it through the week, where I can finally, there's a place where I can go and be myself, and so can my friends. And it's magical. It's weird to be a mother of a teenager and, and like, I don't want them having fake IDs and going to nightclubs, but I also feel like it was probably the safest place for me to be at the time, way safer than going to like a keg party or something like that. And just so magical and important and lovely, and the people there, and that moment in the 80s, and the music was so good. And it's when the sodomy law was getting fucking reified by the Supreme Court, and it was an interesting time to be alive.
Yeah. I love everything that you just said. And it makes me think of things that we want and I think need to see. Love stories about being queer that are not just between two people, that aren't just romantic. A love story to a place and a community,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say also, like, I came out when I was very young, and there was a place like that in Providence where I grew up. It was a
What? You're from Providence?
Yeah, I am. I'm from Providence.
How have we not about...
Are you from Providence?
No, but I went to Brown.
Oh, you went to Brown. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I was on Thayer Street like literally every day after high school. So.
Oh my God. You're too young. Was it Gerardo's?
No, it was Reflections. Do you remember
Okay.
a place called Reflections Cafe in Providence?
No.
Weird. Sorry. I grew up there. I went to Bayview in Providence, East Providence.
Oh my God.
Anyway, but yeah, it was a cafe where it was the same exact feeling. And it wasn't like anything was particularly happening there, except we were drinking coffee and, eating a pastry, but we were doing it in a gay place. And it felt so great to be among our people and kind of, broadcast that we were gay people in the same place as other gay people.
Yes, it's important. It's really important, especially now when it's a fucking dying breed. Yeah, I thought about making a documentary about just like the death of the lesbian bar. Like, why?
Oh my gosh, especially in COVID. This is so terrible. I mean, I feel like I'm just hearing every day about some new spot that's closing down. And, Henrietta is Here has been basically on the brink of that, I feel like, since, I don't know, I've been in the city for over a decade. But yeah, it's been, it's a rough ride. And there's always queer places for, especially like female identifying people that open and close. Remember, like in Brooklyn, Shotgun open and close. All these places just kind of are gone so quickly. As soon as they open, it feels like it's really hard to hold on to them. So
yeah, and then there's also a certain pressure to feel inclusive of straight people in a sort of walk the walk, talk the talk way. Tell me if this isn't making sense, but I'm sort of like, well, we shouldn't leave anybody out. And it's a little bit like, but what if we want to?
yeah, no, I think it's important to have spaces that, feel like they're yours or you have ownership over, especially just because this is why we're talking right now about queer storytelling and, seeing ourselves reflected, because everything that we encounter is through this lens of kind of heteronormativity, which goes largely unnoticed by, the population that is not in the queer population. So yeah, I think it's important to be okay with that, space. Totally.
Yeah.
I have a question there's a project apparently about the death of lesbian bars going on. What is it called? Whoever knows the name of that project, please let us know. I'll come back to it.
There's a fundraiser, because I remember, posting about it on all the sites a few months ago. I don't know if it had a deadline or if it's still going, and there was a list, and Henrietta Hudson was on there. Also, the one in Atlanta, do we have any Georgia people who can help me? Is it My Sister's Room, My Sister's Place, something like that? I don't remember, but back in the days of going to conventions and that stuff, that was a fun place to go after Dragon Con. Yes, yes. And that one's, I think that one's still hanging on also. So yeah, we have to support these places, y'all.
Yeah, definitely. So it's called the Lesbian Bar Project. Thank you. And the campaign is called #SaveTheNight. So yeah, let's do that.
There we go. And there was a documentary, I think like a small one or something a few years ago, which doesn't mean there can be another one, but yeah. And I never saw that, but I'm sure it's wonderful. We should all go watch it.
We should. It is called My Sister's Room. You were correct on that also.
There we go.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So we have a little bit left that we're going to chat, but I think, Alex, is okay if we open it up to some questions that you can answer? Great. So if anyone has questions, please drop them into the chat, and we're going to keep talking for a little bit, and then at a certain point we will go to Q&A. Great. Thank you very much. So we have really covered a lot of good stuff tonight already. I feel like the time is flying.
Yeah.
Wait, by the way, just to be clear, yes, the movie that I'm writing is about it is a love story. It is a love letter to Trax.
Yeah.
Thank God. Those dear sweet doormen who let us in with these ridiculous fake IDs. I mean, just bless them, bless them, bless them. But no, it's also a love story. It's a coming out story. And so of course there's a love story and no one gets killed. So there's that.
Fantastic. That's just what we need. I love that you just said that about bouncers, because I will never forget when I had a fake ID when I was in New York, because I moved here when I was 17. So I had a fake ID like right away. And I will never forget, I walked into Cubbyhole and the bouncer was looking at my ID and literally looked at me and looked at the bouncer next to me and said, "Can you even believe this?" Like, it didn't look like me literally at all, And I just like smiled really big and I was like, "Hey, sorry." And he just said, "Bring it on home, Massachusetts," because it was an ID from Massachusetts. Just bring it in. I was like, "Thank you so much."
So good. We had, there was a grandfather clause in DC, like the drinking age was 18 and then they moved it to 21. And so, but anyone who was already 18 could keep going out. And there was also a whole like straight edge movement where in order to get into the hardcore punk movement, where in order to get into shows, they would put, if they were underage, they would put X's on their hands. We would put X's on their hands. Cat has found a bag. Sorry about the noise.
Amazing.
Oh my God. All the cliches. So what they did was if you had and if you had the old ID with the 18-year-old ID, it was a side profile, whereas once you turned 21, they took a front profile. So you could kind of get away with a side profile ID of someone else. And God knows where Suzanne Gale O'Connor, bless her, she left her bag somewhere and someone like left the bag, but stole the driver's license and it made its way to me. But in order to get into Trax, you had to, if you had a side profile ID, you had to have a second one to back it up.
Oh, okay.
But that one could be kind of anything. So my girlfriend at the time is a smart woman. She still is a very smart woman. And she at our high school, her community service, like we all had to do some kind of service thing for the school, and hers was working in the administration office, like doing clerical stuff. And she stole some stationery that had the school logo and address and everything. So she started making fake IDs she would cut the little piece of like ID size card with the logo. And then we get a little passport picture and then type in Suzanne Gale O'Connor and all of her information, and then like get lamination stuff from the art supply store, and you've got another. So we had, and you had to put on the X's. If you were under 21, you had to have the X's. So we had the X's and the fake ID and the backup ID, the homemade one. It was a whole operation, but it was so worth it. It was so worth it. Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, we had to know, I think the way to do it here was you had to know all the information on your fake ID. So you'd be going to wait in a bar and you're like, your friend next to you is like all right, what streets you live on? And you're like,
what's your social security number? The big one, I never got asked this, but what's your sign was how some people got nailed.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Suzanne Gill O'Connor's a Scorpio.
Well, good to know.
I can't remember what I had for breakfast today, but I can tell you everything about her.
I absolutely love that. I just want to say, so I'm just looking at the chat. I think it's coming up in the chat, which I think is a really good point to make, which is just that, you know, spaces being inclusive is still an issue out there, especially for female identified spaces. And that's terrible and not cool. So I just want to also say, as much as we're very, very into, you know, being able to have our own spaces and support them, yeah, we need to do a better job. Also, I think with all of our trans friends, non-binary friends, and non-conforming friends, we're still fighting the good fight on that one. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that.
Yep, 100%, 100%, 100%. Even language is complicated, right? Like, how do you pronounce the word that starts with W that you use to identify this evening? WMOM, right? Like, how do you talk about femme identified people in an inclusive way? Our language is just, you know, we're just leaping. It's not sufficient, and we're stumbling, and it's frustrating. But side tangent, did you know the singular pronoun they shows up in Jane Austen, Shakespeare, and Chaucer, motherfucker? I just had to say that.
As a singular?
Yes. Like, you know, they walked in the room and I didn't know who it was, but they put down their bag and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Been around for hundreds of years.
Right. And, you know, it's so funny that during school we had it, tried to have it drilled out of us. No. That's only for plural. And we're all just like, well, but we speak. It's so interesting because when I was younger, I would say it as a singular all the time. And then you kind of have it beaten out of you. Yeah. And now we're like, no, actually, that was fine.
There. Yeah. In fact, Ursula K. Le Guin said, or at least I read it on the internet that she said, so it must be true. She said that the singular pronoun they for kind of an unspecified gender was standard until the linguistic police decided that he should be standard. Mm-hmm. As in, if one needs an abortion, he should ask his parents, right? Like, as in, mankind represents the three of us on this call, right? And that's when they sort of tried to get rid of the they.
Yeah, we have amazing historians in the chat right now. So we're getting information. The singular they goes back to the 1600s. And of course, I mean, we're also talking about colonizing societies, right? And we're not discussing any other societies. So, but yes, that's it's a long history there. So
language is so important and it's so political. And then also what about the Romance languages and the fucking gendered like pen and pencil and everything? And wow.
It gets even tougher. Yeah. I think we might be ready for some Q&A. What do we think?
I think we are ready for some Q&A, but my job is album plug sergeant. I'm gonna do it real quick.
Do it.
You can just do it, but go for it.
Yeah. So we just wanted to say nobody gets killed in Xena Warrior musical either. Just
important note
that out there. Very important note. Absolutely nobody. We don't even tease it. Like, you know, somebody could get hurt. That's it. And yeah, we have a concept album. If you're interested in hearing some music that we think is really good and it's rock based and there's a lot of different songs, we've got a Bandcamp, we've got social media. Please follow us on all of that sort of thing. And we've got a song, the love song, that isn't available yet to stream anywhere. We are going to stream it at the end of this, so please stick around.
Yeah, stick around after. It should be pretty fun. Okay, first question. Are we ready? Let's see what we got. So here's a question from Lee. What would you say is one of your most formative pieces of queer media growing up? We might have touched on this a little bit, but. Anybody have any? Nina, obviously.
Well, for me, I was 24 when I got cast in Xena, so I don't think I could say I was growing up at that point. Although I love to imagine what it would have been like to be in college when Xena came out. I mean, I can only imagine it must have been so much fun. I had a job at the university. My job my junior year was I worked at the Women's Center as one of the co-coordinators, and my beat was the lesbian bisexual collective. And basically I ran like a once a week like support group, but I can just imagine the conversations if Xena had been a thing at that point. We would have had so much fun. We would have had so much to talk about. But I'm going to go with The Hunger because it's just so juicy and amazing. What more, and everything that David Bowie ever did, which I'm sorry if that's disappointing to, I don't know, anyone who wants me to talk about women, but I mean, David Bowie is beyond everything, including gender, in my opinion.
David Bowie is both and all of it.
More.
All the time. Yeah.
Do you know the song Lady Stardust? I was telling you, my 16-year-old daughter and I drove. We had a major road trip this week, and we ended up driving in the snow yesterday for like 10 hours. And we really listened carefully to this song. I always thought that Lady Stardust was about Ziggy Stardust's like wife, lover person, sort of like about Angie Bowie. I think, read it, listen. People stared at the makeup on his face, laughed at his long black hair and his animal grace. Lady Stardust sang the song. It's about him. He is Lady Stardust. Like, oh my God, in the first fucking line. Yes. And it's 1,000 years old. That was written when I really was a child. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
so embracing of the both of all of it. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got another question from Lish for you, Alex. If your character Aphrodite had been included in the first Xena musical, maybe hang on.
No, that's Bittersweet.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I got confused about that. Okay. If your character Aphrodite had been included in the first Xena musical, meaning in the show, yeah. Which tarot card would you have wanted to represent you?
I know who's asking this question. Okay, so that's totally not fair because first of all, you're asking me about a show that was shot like decades ago and I didn't watch every episode and I wasn't in that episode. So I don't know that musical. Is that the Bittersweet? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that is the Bittersweet. I think though, it's just each character is dressed like different tarot cards, like in the
That's true. I didn't know that. Oh my God. That's amazing.
It's kind of cool actually, but I think they're just wondering what do you think Aphrodite identifies with in the major arcana?
I don't know. And then the other thing is that I play with cards a lot, but I don't know here they are. I don't know them that well.
Tarot reading.
This is Kim Kranz's deck.
Yeah.
That's so pretty.
That one's really
do you know her stuff?
Yeah.
You're welcome. Off you go. Everything. She just made a graphic novel memoir that just, oh my God. I just pulled the Wheel of Fortune. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I don't think that's Aphrodite's card. I don't know, you guys. I have to. Okay, then the second one I pulled is the Empress. That makes more sense.
Yeah, that could make sense. I think for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there a goddess card in the major arcana? There isn't. There should be. Why isn't there? What's wrong with these people?
Empress is probably there's Empress and Priestess. There's probably.
Yeah, maybe the Priestess because she's a little more inner and intuitive.
I'm gonna go with Priestess. Also, it's more powerful. And Aphrodite likes power. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Priestess.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had two real card draws on this. This is good. This is some quality content. That's well, I have to say.
I've been known to pull some cards. I like the cards.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome. Okay, we've got another question from Karen. Alex, have you seen the TV series Winona Earp?
I haven't. That's on my list.
Excellent. I want to complete what she said then. Full of strong female protagonists / antagonists and queer representation with a wonderful coming out story for 2 of the female leads. So,
Okay. Count me in.
okay, we've got a recommendation from Karen. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Also, we have people saying they would love to read a live tweet of Bittersweet. So if you ever want to watch Bittersweet and do a live tweet of it, the audience is there for you on that.
All right, I can do that.
All right. Any other questions? Also, you know what I wanted to say while we're waiting for another question? I actually did have Xena watching parties in college. I don't mean to make anyone jealous, but I did want to throw that out there, that because I'm a little bit, was born a little bit later, I guess. So yeah, that was totally something that we did in college. And I will tell you that it was very formative and generative and very, very great. So.
I loved that, you know, like back in the day, like when I used to do conventions and meet people, which is a very surreal experience, especially if you work in TV, especially if you look like me. And during most of the show, I had really, really short hair. So I got recognized twice. I mean, really. And one time somebody recognized me he kept looking at me, and it was at a record store and I was buying a CD, and then he was behind the cash register, and then he looked at my credit card and was like, "Oh, I know who you are." He really recognized me from my name on my credit card. I just didn't, and I don't really look anything like Aphrodite, really. And anyway, but so it was very surreal to live a pretty incognito life and then go suddenly meet like hundreds of people. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot, but I really, I was really touched and moved by this community that happened around the show, and I could really project my own experience onto what everybody was living there, whether I was right or not. But you know, imagine what it would have been like to be able to come together across the internet via a TV show like that. That was definitely something. We had to wait till Saturday night and go to tracks with the fake ID, you know, and dance to New Order.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Susie and the Banshees.
Yeah. Meg is loving that.
I've got a Susie poster just in my bedroom.
Really?
Yeah. I played bass in a Susie tribute band. It was like the last concert I played before lockdown.
Dude, I played bass and sang a cover of Love in a Void in my last band in college. Yeah.
And there's no evidence of that?
No evidence. No, there's one. No, there's no like real evidence. There's one photograph somewhere. Yeah.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I'd love to go on that tangent. But we have one more question, I think, before we wrap things up. This is for everyone. If you could make a biopic film happen for any queer person or character from history, who would it be? Maybe tell us a little about what style it's in and what's going on there. That's my own personal question I added to the end there.
Well, I want to write one about the Knitting Circle, which is the Hollywood ladies, the Greta Garbo, Marlene Dietrich, that whole what's her name? Tallulah Bankhead. Oh my God. Do you not, Megan? Do you not?
Tell everyone more about it, Meg.
I think Catherine Fugé, who's a writer on Xena, who wrote everybody's favorite episode.
Yes.
The name of which is
Collide, When Fates Collide.
When Fates Collide, of course, the one with a good happy ending.
Yes, the best one.
She told me a Tallulah Bankhead story that she would from time to time throw a big fabulous Hollywood party and just arrive without her shirt on, or not arrive. She was at her house. She would open the door like without her shirt on. Hello, come on in. Here's my party. But my favorite Tallulah Bankhead story was she was rumored to be having an affair with some beautiful Hollywood starlet's husband. And the beautiful Hollywood starlet was very upset about it. And Tallulah said, "Well, darling, it's true, but don't worry, you're next."
Best come on ever.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
so yeah, I would love to be like that someday. I have a Cancer moon, so it's never going to happen. I'm just far too cozy for something like that, but it'd be fun to play. So that whole world, I love that whole world for sure. And then the other wormhole I went down recently is the women on the left bank in the 20s, particularly Romaine Brooks and
Natalie Barney.
Natalie Barney. That's the one.
I'm obsessed with Natalie Barney also.
Me
I'm
too.
obsessed with Natalie Barney. Everyone called her the Amazon, actually. She's a fascinating, I have like 3 books on her in my library behind me.
Really?
Yeah. And she also had an affair with Renee Vivian, who was a really famous poet, and lived in the same complex as Colette, and they would have dinner together sometimes.
Dude.
That's a fascinating salon to do something.
Yeah. I just want to go play in that world. Yeah.
Yes, I would love to live there as well. That would be fantastic.
Yes.
All right. What do you think? Can we do one more question and then wrap it up? What time is it? I feel like time is just passing. I'm having too good of a time. How about this short one? Carm just wants to know, Alex, do you still sing and play music?
I sing so much in the car.
Favorite thing to sing in the car? Like, what do you go for?
Oh, I mean, whatever's on, really. It's really fun. I was that kind of horrible parent that made the kids take music. And it's paying off now because they really do play music. It's super, super, super fun. And you know, they played, you know, classical violin and all that stuff until they were like around 13, and then they were like, I'm not doing this anymore. But now they play guitar and bass and piano and up. So they kind of are the driving sonic force in my life. It's hard to be louder than a teenage girl, but they also have excellent taste in music for the most part. There's a little bit more pop than I would choose to have, but they're also, they have good points, you know, and there's recent documentaries about Britney Spears and Taylor Swift that are very interesting. So I probably wouldn't have as much Britney Spears and Taylor Swift in my life, but they're also very into, you know, Bowie and Wilco and Susie and the Banshees and a lot of the people we've talked about tonight. So I'll sing to whatever's going on, really. Yeah, but playing music, I always want to play more music than I do, but I need to. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
I love that question. Speaking of music, man, that was a cheap segue, but.
Oh wait, I want to say one thing, which is that these guys have made this musical, and if you haven't heard it yet, you are about to have the opportunity to hear it, and you should really hear it. They have made this amazing thing. There's like songs and lyrics and music and singers, and they've done a whole thing. And if you haven't heard it yet, you need to do that now.
Right? Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah, listen to her. Okay, all right. No, thank you so much. It's absolutely amazing. Penny's literally telling me not to die before we wrap up. Okay,
we're trying.
Not dying. Yeah. So we have a Bandcamp. It's got all of the songs on it. You can listen to all of them. We really think you will like it. If you like Zeta, you will like it. So yes, and stick around. We're going to play Promise Me after this. And basically, Alex, you're amazing. Thank you so incredibly much.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. I had an absolute blast. I hope you did too. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, you guys. Thank you for having me. Super fun.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I guess we go. We play the song now. Thank you so much. Follow us on socials. Have an excellent rest of your evening. Thank you, Alex, again. Goodbye.
Bye.